afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephen Todd, Chairman of the Directors of your company, and I will be chairing 2022 annual meeting today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all the shareholders, guests, the management of the company, and members of staff to the 2022 annual general meeting of Stationery and Office Supplies Limited, our third AGM held electronically. I would also like to mention, with our company secretary, Mrs. Marjorie McDaniel, being out sick, Mrs. Kerry Todd will be the SOS acting company secretary for the 2022 AGM. In accordance with Stationery and Office Supplies Limited Articles of Incorporation, 3 persons present in person or by proxy constitutes a quorum. Madam Secretary, can you confirm that we have a quorum? Carried.
Chairman, I can confirm that we have a quorum.
I now call this meeting to order. As we proceed, the supplemental notice convening this meeting invited shareholders to participate online and vote on the resolution put forward for consideration. Shareholders were informed that upon registration, they would have received an email with details to access the private live stream of this AGM, and they would be allowed to see, hear the proceedings, and to vote live on the resolutions being considered. I will remind the meeting of the procedures before we begin voting. As is customary, these arrangements were put in place to allow you, our valued shareholders, regardless of your geographic location, to have equal opportunity to participate in the business of your company and engage the company's board of directors and senior management team and auditors. Shareholders were also informed that all completed proxy forms were required to be submitted to the company's registrar no less than 48 hours prior to this meeting. I now ask Mr. Darlan Brown to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Our God and Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy high and thy holy name. Lord, as we come this afternoon, Lord, we ask of thee, Lord, that your presence may be with us. We ask of thee, O Lord, whatever is said, whatever is done, may be to your honor, to your praise, and to your glory. Lord, we ask of thee, Lord, that you continue to bless our company, Station Office Supplies, Lord. We ask of thee, Lord, that you'll help us as shareholders, as staff, as management, Lord, that we may continue to grow and find prosperity in your sight. Lord, we pray and ask of thee again that you'll be with us, continue to guide us, continue to protect us. We pray and ask of thee as we give thee thanks in Jesus' holy and precious name. Amen.
Thank you, Darlan. Thank you, Darlan. The supplemental notice convening this annual general meeting electronically on the 25th day of July 2023 at 2 p.m. having been previously circulated, be and is hereby taken as read. I now ask the company secretary to advise if notifications of apologies were received for absence.
Chairman, we have received no apologies for absences.
Thank you. I now obtain from company secretary to the number of valid proxies received.
Chairman, we have received 1 valid proxy and it is available for inspection.
Thank you very much. I would like to introduce the following persons who are also attending electronically. Our non-executive directors, Mr. Richard Evan Thwaites, Mr. Anthony Bell, and Mr. Jermaine Deans. Our executive directors, Mr. David McDaniel, Mr. Alan McDaniel, Mrs. Kerry Todd, Mrs. Kelly Moshette, and Mrs. Marjorie McDaniel, who is also the company secretary but is not here today. Our auditors, HBL, Mayor Russell, Chartered Accountants. Our financial controller, Mr. Charles Plant. Our recording secretary, Mrs. Yvonne Godfrey. Registrar and transfer agents, Jamaica Central Security Depository Team. Again, a warm welcome to all members present in person or by proxies and invited guests. In accordance with the agenda outlined in supplemental notice, I will now proceed with the ordinary business of the 2022 Annual General Meeting. I now ask the Secretary to table the accounts for the financial year ended December 31st, 2022, and report on the directors thereon.
Chairman, the accounts and the report of the directors have been tabled.
Thank you very much. I now invite the auditors, HBL Mayor Russell, Chartered Accountants, to read the independent report of the auditors.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apologies. Report of the audited financial statement. Our opinion, we have audited the financial statements, a separate financial statement of Stationery and Office Supplies Limited, the company, which comprises a statement of financial position as at December 31st, 2022, the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, changes in statements in the equity and cash flows for the year then ended, and notes comprising significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at December 31st, 2022, and its financial position and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and the Jamaica Companies Act. This is of our opinion. We have conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibility under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility for the audit of financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with International Ethical Standards Board for Accountants, Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, IESBA code, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance to the IESBA code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. The key audit matters are those matters that in our professional judgment were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon. And we do not provide a separate opinion on this matter. Allowance for expected credit loss. As a key audit matter, as at December 31st, 2022, expected credit loss amounted to $17,848,285. We consider the matter of expected credit loss a key audit matter, as the determination is highly subjective, is based on a significant judgment made by management and subject to significant uncertainty. The principles for determining expected credit loss are described in the summary of significant accounting policies. The management of credit risk and the review for impairment have been described in more detail in note 27B of the financial statements. Our audit procedures included, among others, to ensure compliance with IFRS 9, We evaluated the techniques and method used by the company in order to assess expected credit loss. We assessed and validated the inputs used and assumptions applied in determining the loss rate, which is integral to the provision matrix used to determine the expected credit loss for the trade receivables. We tested subsequent collection for selected overdue customers and assessed the adequacy of the disclosure in the financial statements. Other information. Management is responsible for other information. The other information comprises the information in the annual report, but does not include the financial statements and our audit report thereon. The annual report is expected to be made available to us after the date of the audit report. Our opinion on the financial statements does not cover the other information. We will not express an opinion form of assurance, conclusion thereon. When we read the annual report, if we conclude that there is any material misstatement thereon, we are required to communicate these matters to those charged with governance. Responsibilities of management and those charged with governance. Management is responsible for the preparation of financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS and the Jamaica Companies Act, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatement. In preparing the financial statement, management is responsible for assessing the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting, unless management either intends to liquidate the company or to cease operations, or have any realistic alternatives but to do so. All right, so the responsibilities of the auditors are in the paragraphs that follow. If I may be permitted to just skip over those areas. All right. Now read the final paragraph. We have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been maintained so far as appeared from our examinations of those records, and the financial statements which are in accordance as far as appears from our examination of those records, and the financial statements which are in agreement therewith give the information required by the Companies Act of Jamaica in the manner so required. The engagement partner on the audit resulting from the independent auditor's report is Ms. Karen Lewis. Report dated March 1, 2023. Signed HLB, Mayor Russell. Thank you.
Auditors, having read their report that is set out in the 2022 financial statements. Before taking questions on the reports and accounts, we'll have a presentation from myself, Chairman of the Board, and the Managing Director, Alan McDaniel, on the company's performance during 2022, and to highlight some of the strategic initiatives being undertaken in 2023. Shareholders requested that the company's shares be more liquid on the market, and a presentation on a proposed stock split is being put forward under special business for your consideration. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Stationery and Office Supplies Limited, I'm proud to share an impressive set of results for 2022. Notwithstanding the continued impact of COVID-19 SOS delivered revenue growth of approximately 56%, increasing from $1.12 billion in 2021 to $1.75 billion in 2022. Our pre-tax profit rose by 169%. We are pleased to note that our shareholders closed the year in a better position with our EPS increasing from 0.43 cents to $1.03. This performance demonstrates agility, resilience, and our ability to remain focused despite significant challenges. Throughout 2022, we continue to look at ways that we can expand our operation and continue to increase our market share. We were able to achieve this by continuing to hold the high levels of inventory that we had. This enabled us to have the products in stock when needed by our new customers and distributors. This is reflected directly in our 56% increase in sales. The new Evolve line brought in additional sales of $28 million in just 5 months. The Montego Bay branch had a tremendous bounce back due to the broad reopening of the tourism sector, which resulted in a 70% increase in revenues for the branch. Seek continued to set new records as we expand with the new lines. This increased production and boosted profits. This is just a quick summarization of the year in review. Mr. Alan McDaniel will go into more details in his presentation, so I don't want to double up. In recognizing all of the achievements above, and to agree that this was no easy feat, I would like to express our immense gratitude to the phenomenal SOS team of dedicated employees who go above and beyond for the business every single day. To them, we would like to say a big thank you. Furthermore, the confidence of our customers and their trust and belief in our company has propelled us to new heights as we seek to supply their needs. SOS believes that true growth in a company can only come from creating value for customers and stakeholders, building strong, dedicated team, and continuously innovating and adapting to change in the marketplace and making sound business decisions based on reliable data. What do we have planned for 2023? As you probably already know, we've started off 2023 with a bang. Our first quarter results speak for themselves. The highest revenue in a quarter to date, as well as our highest ever revenue of $207 million for the month of March. We have several key projects slated to be completed by the end of the second quarter of 2023, which would support our new regional partnership with AIS. Stationery and office supplies has been chosen as one of 2 distributors for the 3M International line to sell their tapes and office products in the Jamaica market. This should take effect in our fourth quarter of 2023. We are expanding our locations. We are currently building a new warehouse on 25 Beechwood Avenue that will provide an extra 5,000 square foot, which should be completed by the end of August 2023. Industrial racking that we sell will be used in the new space and will increase the storage capacity significantly. We have just signed a lease to get an additional 2,500 square foot storage space in Montego Bay. This will help in providing the additional storage required to service Montego Bay quicker and more efficiently as their markets continue to grow. We are reaching out and partnering with other major players in the Caribbean to supply stationery and office furniture to these regions. This in turn will require us to increase the size of our team and bring in new staff to help with this expansion. SOS will continue to innovate and improve our products and services to meet the evolving needs of our customers. We will include additional offerings within our furniture lines and technological improvements to our operations to achieve overall efficiency. This is just a small preview of what we have been doing and what we have planned for 2023. At SOS, we aim to keep it simple. We do our work, we see what needs to be done, and we get it done. This works for us, and it works for our customers. We will continue to stand by our strategy and innovate to meet market needs while delivering great service at competitive prices. Again, on behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to thank our dedicated team for being on board, our customers for choosing us, and our shareholders for believing in us. The economy is improving, we have a winning team, and a solid strategy. Our growth in 2022 is just the continuation of the great future. Thank you very much all. I now hand over to Alan McDaniel, the Managing Director, to go through the report.
Thank you, Stephen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to stand here before you and discuss Stationery Office Supply's 2022 financial highlights, as well as the results for the first 5 months of 2023. As we all know by now, 2022 was a historical year for SOS, hitting an all-time high in its 58-year history in almost every area of the business. This includes our document destruction division, up 25%, our Stationery Safe line, up 25%, as well as our own existing furniture lines, Image and Church, up 40% and 49% respectively. Evolve, our newest office furniture line that was introduced to the market late in 2022, was also well received and continues to grow. All of this has led to SOS exceeding its goals and targets for 2022. Now, I'd like to take a look at the financial highlights for 2022, and as a comparison, I will compare 2022 not only to the previous year, but to the company's history. Firstly, let us discuss inventory. Coming into 2022, we believe that we needed to continue to grow our inventory levels as we needed to have the products on hand not only to serve our customers, but our sub-distributors as well. In doing so, we ended the year with an inventory value of $369 million, up 25% from our previous high in 2021. As we move forward, and in doing so, we will make plans on how to increase as we move forward, we will look at increasing this figure as well as we continue to serve the Caribbean region. And in doing so, we'll make a plan on how to increase our storage capacity on our Beachwood property to house these additional products. Total assets, mainly based on having the revaluation of our 4 properties, as well as a significant increase in our inventory levels by 25%, trade and receivables by 60%, and cash 275%, SOS's total assets rose by 50%, going from $928 million to $1.4 billion. SEEK revenues, mainly based, 2022 was by far the best year for SEEK to date, and we surpassed our previous high by 34%, reaching revenues of $83.5 million. With the additional machinery we purchased in the third quarter of 2022, we are expecting to see the continued growth in this brand through 2023. Debt to equity. SOS's debt to equity ratio continues to fall in a positive way, down to 0.25. This ratio shows how much debt the company has compared to its assets, and this ratio shows a very healthy and strong company going forward. Total liabilities. Total liabilities increased by 13%, but this rise is so insignificant in relation to the rise in assets. Individually, SOS has decreased its borrowings and its loans by almost half. Current ratio. The company's current ratio continues to rise, reaching a level of over 4. Again, this is significant as it shows that the company can cover its liabilities 4 times and has the ability to take on additional debt at any time it sees fit. Revenues. Revenues reach an all-time high of $1.75 billion in 2022, surpassing our previous high by 45%, or $1.2 billion in 2019. This achievement was met by significant planning and oversight by management. Everything was put under a microscope during COVID to devise ways to make the company more efficient, more productive, and more profitable. All the planning and policies are working, as evident by the massive increase in revenues at the end of 2022. Earnings per share. Our shareholders would be happy to see that SOS's EPS almost doubled, moving from 0.54 cents to $1.03. And this is with SOS completing its tax-free incentive in August 2022 after joining the JSE back in 2017. Net profit. And the most important number of to everyone listening today is a rise in the company's net profit. In 2022, SOS had its highest ever year-end net profit figure of $256.5 million, surpassing its previous high in 2019 of $137 million. This also includes a $27 million income tax credit based on SOS having began to pay 12.5% tax in August of 2022. "2022 was a great year, and one we would be more than happy not to just replicate, but to surpass. We entered 2023 with new plans and ideas, such as further regional expansion, growth in the lines of products, the continued push of the new Evolve line of furniture, and a revitalized Montego Bay location that saw many of its businesses bounce back and up and running. With everything we have done, we continue to see SOS growing and setting all-time highs once again in the first quarter of 2023. Including the highest ever revenues in a quarter and in any one month, as well as the highest pre-tax profit in any quarter, as well as in any one month as well. The good news doesn't stop there, as for the first 5 months of 2023, SOS is up over 22 with revenues up 18%, gross profit up 23%, expenses are up 13%, SEEK revenues are up 50%, and pre-tax profit is up 17% to date. And to top it all off, after starting this year off with a stock price of $16.92 on January 2nd, we hit an all-time high of $34.98 in June, with that day closing at an average of $34.31. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On this note, we are going to discuss further the stock split that is part of the resolutions we will have vote on later. And at this time, I'd like to present NCB, the lead brokers for SOS in this stock split, to do a presentation on such.
Angus, if it's fine by you, I'll make the introduction.
Hi, sure, no problem. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angus Young, Executive Vice President of Regional Investment Banking and New Markets at NCB Capital Markets. Today we have with us Richard Samouj, Assistant Vice President of Origination and Structuring, and Jason DeCambre, Investment Banking Analyst. All of us are of NCB Capital Markets. Today we are going to offer up a presentation led by Richard and Jason on just some general knowledge on his stock split, and then zoning in on this particular opportunity at the SOS level. So without further ado, over to you, Richard and Jason.
Thank you, Angus. As discussed by Angus, as advisors, investment banking advisors and lead brokers on capital market transactions for stock for stationery and office supplies, we met with the board on June 19th, and the board had agreed in this meeting here today on the 25th to bring for your consideration a stock split. I'll allow our investment banking analyst, Jason DeCamry, to go through the presentation, and we ask that any comments or questions be placed in the chat or be held until he's done in the next 5 to 7 minutes. So without further delay, Jason, please.
All right, thank you, Richard. Good afternoon, everyone. So we can begin by outlining what a stock split is and why this is the course of action that's being proposed. Ultimately, a stock split means that if you had one stock before a split, you have more than one stock or more than one share in that company that correspond to the one stock after the split. So the 9-to-1 split that we're saying right here, for every one share that the company has, there will be 9 shares in its place. And correspondingly, the nominal value of the stock would be 9 times smaller. So it doesn't mean that the company's value changes. What it means is that each unit is now representing a smaller piece of ownership of the company and therefore has a lower price per unit. So a 9-to-1 stock split would result in the value of SOS's shares being within a range of $2.50 to $3.50. And the number of issued shares would therefore increase 9 times to 2.25 billion units. Now, at the close of business yesterday, the stock was at $27.41. And since the volumes traded on the market have been low, a stock split is anticipated to make each unit of the stock more accessible to retail investors. What that means is that instead of having to spend a large amount of money on one unit of stock, they're able to spend smaller amounts of money to get one unit, or conversely, they can spend the same and get more units, so that facilitates trading. So that subdivision of shares helps to make it more affordable, usually improving marketability and trading liquidity. Now, retail investors acting in the market, they're one of the key drivers of stock market performance. So, let me not say performance, but the activity in the stock market. There are many of these traders out there. And this split would take SOS relative to its peers, where it's highlighted in orange here. So just around the middle of the range that its peers on the junior market distribution sector trading. Now, just for some background, Fosterich would have done a 10-to-1 split last year, and they had a tremendous increase in trading volume as a result. And the same was observed with Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances. A few years ago, they did a 10-to-1 stock split, and they had that result. Now, we're highlighting that even though a stock split has potential benefits, it's not fundamentally changing the value of the company or the stock. And let's use an example right here. Suppose you have $10 worth of a company's stock. You have 2 units at $5 each, and you do a 5-to-1 stock split. You would now have 10 units at $1 each, but 10 ones are 10, just like 5 twos are 10. The total value isn't changed, it's just that you have smaller units and more of them. If we were to do a 5-to-1 stock split with SOS, the price using yesterday's close of business price, it would be $5.48. The 9-to-1 that we're looking at now would be $3.05. A 10-to-1 would of course be lower at $2.74. Now, because the earnings per share, it would be different. The PE ratio is going to stay the same because you have more shares, even though each share is smaller, and they would balance out to the same thing. So no matter what extent of a stock split you're doing, the price to earnings ratio of the stock is not going to be changed. Now, at present, SOS is by far the most expensive stock per unit nominally among its peers. And if we were to do the 9-to-1 stock split, it would be closer to the middle. Some other considerations in doing this is that increased liquidity of the stock, it allows a wider possible investor base. And when you have a wider possible investor base, that's strategic for the company because you get a greater participation in the market potentially. Since SOS expects to continue on its current growth trajectory, we just had those wonderful results that were presented to us, then having a more affordable stock per unit would make it a lot more attractive, not only because it's cheaper, but because that stock has potential to grow. So it gives consumers a wonderful opportunity to buy. And the attractive relative valuation suggests that greater liquidity would boost demand and allow the price to go up in the future. That's what is potential to happen. SOS also has very tightly held shares, right? So because few of them are in the float out in the market, subdividing these shares would make it a lot more liquid potentially and increase its pool of investors. We can look at the historical price. This is for the last 3 months as per the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We see that it has been trending upward, which is lovely. And the volumes initially, this is before we began speaking about the stock split, they weren't very high. So now it's moderately traded, and post split, we are anticipating to see greater volumes traded to enhance the liquidity of the stock. So just to summarize what we were saying, from a nominal perspective and looking at how investor sentiments tend to play out in the market, having a low nominal price per share usually encourages trading. It would also make it closer to the bulk of its peers and having a more affordable unit cost so that it's more approachable for investors. And finally, since in the recent past the volumes of shares traded has been low, we're able to cater to more investors and satisfy their demand because it is a good stock that they'd be able to participate and join in the market. So we invite any questions, any comments to be shared right now.
And Jason, I know you're at the end of your presentation. It's also important to note that a stock split does not dilute the position or holdings of any shareholder. It's simply a multiplication of the float of the base with the same allotment. That's a frequent question.
Just to recap, if anybody has any questions for them, now is the time to ask. Any questions that you might have for clarification? They asked for it. Okay. We're also going to have a question and answer period after this, so if you guys will stay online in case somebody does have a question when it comes up, that might be also the right time as well, if you guys are okay with that. Yep, perfect. Thank you very much, Angus and team. That was really good and informative. We now move on to the question and answer segment. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move into the question and answer segment of the AGM. Shareholders can now enter questions in the Q&A feature of the platform, which will be addressed accordingly at the end of the Q&A segment. So any questions, now is the time to ask.
Chairman, we do have one question from Philip Lopez. When is the project X date for the stock split?
I'm going to let Mr. Alan McDaniel answer that for you.
The X date for the stock split is August 2nd.
August 2nd.
And Chairman, a second question that I'm able to answer on your behalf. Will the recording be available at a later date from Matthew Preston? Yes, we hope to have it on the company's website as well as other forums that we will say on our social media. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just looking to see what, this is the question for the chairman, Stephen Todd. As a chairman, what is your vision for the company's future growth and success? And while you're at it, maybe just reflect back on the successes in the past 5 years and where you're going.
As I said in my report, we never stop looking at ways to continue to grow the company. We've recently partnered with 2 regional Caribbean partners to be able to expand our reach, Trinidad and Cayman. We've just been appointed to the exclusive distributor, one of the exclusive distributors for 3M International. That's a huge way of going forward. We continue to grow our Seek line of books and other office products. These are all visions that we all have to grow the company for the future. These are just parts of it. We continue to look and see how we can incorporate other things into our company to help with the growth. The success of our company, I honestly, it comes down to our team, our workers, our staff, and our customers for believing in us, for believing in the company, It really does, and I can't reiterate enough to say how appreciative we are to them all, because they're the ones who help us to move forward. And with their continued contribution, I can't see any reason why we won't continue to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Philip Burgess says, congratulations on an excellent year and the growth trajectory that you are clearly on. Is the 3M partnership regional or limited to Jamaica at the moment?
Right now, it's limited to Jamaica. That's where we are for only in Jamaica right now.
Thank you, Chairman. Matthew Preston asks, was the possibility of an equity raise factored into your decision to do a stock split?
I'm going to let Mr. McDaniel answer that question once again.
Use the podium.
Sorry, as I got up, can you repeat that question for me, Daniel?
From Matthew, was the possibility of an equity raise factored into your decision to do a stock split?
Not at this moment. Right now, the stock split is really based upon the shareholders and the request that we've had to get the stock more liquid and accessible. The need for the equity will come and the time will be right for it, and when we need to do the equity raise, we will, but at this point, it was not necessary.
Thank you. Yared Lee asks a question. What is the projected revenue from 3M products per annum, if you are able to say?
I won't speculate at this time, but it is significant. That I can say. Based on our own sales in 3M, in Stationery Supplies Limited, it's significant.
Thank you. Cliff Robinson has joined us, and he asks, has the board made a firm decision on whether to access debt for the upcoming projects, or will you look at access to available equity capital based on the JSE limit for junior market companies?
Let me let Alan answer again.
As I had mentioned when we were looking at our financial results for 2022, when we looked at our debt ratio, we have access and we have the ability to take on any debt we want at this point. We are trying to find the right place, the right time, and the right purpose to use this debt and use this ability to maneuver how we want. So to say that, I'd have to go back and remember exactly what the question was, but at this point in time, we are not in the needs of the equity right now, but we know that we have access to it whenever we're ready and for whatever need may come up that we need to go on to it right now. So for these projects that we're working on right now, we do not need to raise extra equity right now. We can continue to manage them out of cash flow. And for when the time comes up that we do need to jump on something rather large, we will have access to that debt, to that equity whenever the time is right.
Thank you. We also thank you, Matthew, for your complimenting the quality of our AGM, and also a follow-on question from Matthew Preston. Have your attempts to increase your market share in the BPO space progressed so far this year?
I would say quite handily, yes. So we have always been a major player in the BPO process, to go as far as to say that from our inventory, and we always refer to our stock, that we can seat 300 people for a BPO from our stock. Now, we wouldn't do that unless we had access, or unless we were working with the BPO companies right now. And up to recent, I would say we've had seats for about at least 400 new seats, 200 seat projects. Kerry continues to work on large BPO projects as well. And it's a main focus of what we do, a very serious focus of our daily operations, especially on the western side of the island.
Thank you for bringing up Kerry, because we do have a question for her. Kerry Director is the Director of Special Projects. Kerry, what are the current special projects, if you could speak in any detail at all, that the company is focusing on now to enhance furniture and office supply offerings?
We have so many areas that we're focused on right now. Overall, work is back to normal, and it's business as usual. and companies are making up for the time that they missed during the restrictions of the last years. So the government has lifted their restrictions, and we're constantly bidding on government bids now for furniture and stationery. Private companies, everywhere you go around Kingston these days, all you see are buildings going up. Private companies they're building, they're renovating. The BPOs, they are expanding every single day. Our tourism section down in Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, they have come back and are stronger than ever. So we have many projects in the pipeline, and we're hoping we get most of those projects that we're quoting on now.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Kerry, what are sorry about that, getting lots of questions in. With the evolving trends, pun intended, of remote work, flexible workspaces, how have you adapted, continue to adapt with office supplies and just new general global trends?
Let me pass that off to Stephen.
The work from home initiative is still there. I know we think it's a huge part of the business. It is a part of the business. We stock everything for work from home. We have it there. People can come into the office and have a look at it. They can test it, they can see it. We can outfit your entire home if that's what you want. Everything is readily available from stock. Again, as Alan says, that's one of our biggest pluses. We have everything available from stock. That's where we invested a lot of our effort and a lot of our time and a lot of our money to be able to have that readily available for when you want to come in and outfit your home. The evolving line, yes, the evolving line is doing phenomenally well. It also is used in the home furniture as well, home lines as well. People have purchased it for their home line. It comes with full sets of wardrobes and cupboards and storage spaces, and it's a lovely line. For all of you who do not know what the line looks like, please go online onto our website and have a look. It really, really is impressive, and we are very, very proud of it.
Thank you, Chairman. Don't go too far. We're coming back to you, but we do have a question for Kelly Mouchette, Deputy Managing Director and Director of Purchasing and Administration. Kelly, were there any changes in logistics and supply chain? We did see supply chain issues happening in 2021 and 2022 globally. What management changes, what strategies did you implement and are implementing in 2023 compared to previous years?
What we found out during the COVID time was that we had to diverse our product line, and we also had to make sure that we had more than one supplier for our heavy volume furniture that was moving. Of course, during COVID, suppliers were backed up, they were locking down, they were out, but we made sure that we ordered on time, we had the funds on time, we had the funds there to be able to order, and that so that the goods wouldn't run out for the customers. And we also had stock available for resellers who were not able to get their own products, but because we had the level of stock, we were able to survive the COVID time during that 2022-21 period when COVID was hitting us hard. So strategy-wise as well, like Stephen was saying, we are known to have stock on hand. Ordering is extremely important for us. We make sure that we are not ordering when we run out. We have specific times when we order to make sure that we constantly have that flow of goods coming into the office to be able to do an entire office space or to be able to do a 200 or 300-seater BPO for our customers.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Matthew Baker, I think that last answer answers your question here. If it doesn't, please certainly write it back to me. We have a question in. I think this would be perhaps for, well, I'll let Chairman or Alan decide. How are the sales in Trinidad going since the partnership with Office Authority? Is SOS pursuing any equity stakes in the company?
At this point In time, we're actually very happy with how sales are going so far. We, since the beginning of this year, have sent over 4 containers worth of goods, which are related to various projects they're working on, because they're new into the office furniture market. They have been a company that has dealt with the office supplies business, but never before have they got into the office furniture. So to see them eager, putting in a sales team, putting in the facilities to be able to continue to grow their office furniture business is great, and we're going to support them in any which way we can. So we give them a lot of support here from a technical side, from a drawing our own knowledge of the products and what they're looking for. But we are very happy with what they've started with, and we only see their business growing as well.
Thank you very much for that, Alan. We're jumping back in the conversation just a little bit, acknowledging Cliff Robinson's question. I think this is for you, Alan. Are the considerations given to eliminate Are there considerations given to eliminate potential dilution where an equity raise will become necessary? I think it could be if it became necessary.
If you're going to use that word and say if, we can look at that in the future. Right now, we're focused on the present. Right now, we're focused on what we're doing right now. And right now, we're focused on what's best for our Stationery Supplies and our shareholders. And at this present, we found this to be the best course of action going forward.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel. You've spoken about the importance of this, and this could be a really great question to close with, I do believe it's our last question. You've spoken about the importance of shareholder confidence and trust. How does the stock split align with the company's strategic goals and efforts to strengthen your investor sentiment and engagement?
All right. So one key factor, and I think in everything you just said, and in terms of investor confidence, we have had a very good run over the last few years. I mean, even prior to COVID, we've continued to grow every year. One of the things that's always been a question is listening to those around you, listening to the investors, listening to the shareholders. We heard them. We heard the lack of liquidity. We heard the need and the want for additional shares to be available. And this is one of the reasons we've done this as well going forward. As it's noted that there's no capital appreciation on anything we're doing. We are doing this to get the shares out there to be able to make it more liquid based on our shareholders wanting to gain more. And I would say if we're sitting here listening to our shareholders, that should be confidence enough. Because as a company, we're growing, we're continuing to expand, we're continuing to listen to everybody, we're continuing to be one of the few, very fortunately, companies on the stock exchange that are continuing to do well in the market as it is. And for everything we've done, we don't believe that there should be any reason there should be a lack of confidence in us. And we continue with that mindset going forward, going to listen, not saying we know it all, listening to the questions here and taking them under advisement as we look at how we're going to continue to grow in the future.
Thank you. And based on the applauses and emoticons we're seeing in Zoom, we do feel you might have good investor confidence. Dwight Jackson asked a question, and I'll just answer for you. What is the date of the stock split? I believe that was said earlier in the chat at August 2nd. The last 2 questions we'll have are for you, Chair. Have you or is one in place an employee share ownership ESOP plan?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Have you ever considered or is one in place an employee share ownership plan?
When we first went public, we gave that option to all the employees who were on staff at the time. Currently, no, we do not have that in place now. We advise them where to go to be able to buy the shares. And do we have a plan down the line? I can't tell you yes or no. We have not really talked about that. That's not on the forefront at the moment. But I will never say never.
Wonderful. I think this question is probing, but I still ask on behalf of Matthew Preston. Would you consider a spin-off of Seek? I am not sure if that is a spin-off company or a spin-off brand. Maybe answer both or not.
Well, that's easy. I mean, for everything that you've heard there today, we are not closed to anything. We're open to anything that's going to continue to improve this company,
continue to improve the growth of this company, continue to improve the bottom line of this company. So if we were able to find some form of spin-off, whether it be additional products, which we're already doing now, or an affiliated version of Seek going forward, we would look at anything that would make sense going forward.
Thank you. The questions at this time, Chairman, are complete, and we take the opportunity to thank our shareholders and media and those who have attended and asked such robust questions. One thing I know about this company is they're always open to good questions, so please feel welcome to send messages and join us for all our forums. Chairman?
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the question and answer segment of our AGM. And we will now vote on the resolutions to be considered at this AGM. I remind shareholders that live voting will be done electronically on the platform. The proposing and seconding of each resolution will be done by shareholders raising their hands electronically to be acknowledged. Shareholders will be allowed 1 minute to vote on each resolution after the resolution has been moved and seconded. I now ask the shareholder to propose and another to second resolution number 1, that the audited accounts to the year ending December 31st, 2022, together with the director's report and auditor's report thereon, be and hereby adopted. Shareholders should state their names clearly and indicate that they propose or second the resolution. Over to you, shareholders.
We have shareholder Philip Burgess proposing, and we invite a shareholder to second. We have shareholder Cliff Robinson seconding.
Thank you very much, shareholders. I now put resolution number 1 to the meeting for adoption. Those in favor, those against, the chairman, I will also state that 100% of the votes received by proxies are in favor of resolution number 1.
Chairman, we have 17 people voting. Still happening at 18, sorry. It's still tabulating. Shareholders, I'm inviting you, when we propose a resolution and to second, that you use the voting, raising of, to vote, to raise your hand. Chairman, we're still waiting on the poll to end. With the passed, we have 23 people voting for 100% and none against.
I declare the resolution carried. Thank you, shareholders. I now ask shareholders to propose and another to second resolution number 2, that Messrs. HLB Mayor Russell, Chartered Accountants, be appointed auditors of the company in accordance with the section number 154 of the Companies Act, and that their remuneration be fixed by the directors for the ensuing year. Shareholders should state their names clearly and indicate that they propose or second the resolution. Over to you, shareholders.
Shareholder Ryan Gentles proposes, going to ask him if he could officially use the option to raise his hand, proposing, and Alianne Wilson as well. If you could also second by raising your hand, has seconded the resolution.
Okay. Thank you, shareholders. I now put resolution number 2 to the meeting for adoption. Those in favor and those against.
Shareholders, we are inviting you to use the poll on the screen for this, not use the raise of hand for this part. Please respond on the poll. Thank you.
I must also state at this time that our proxies held are 100% in favor of resolution number 2.
We will close the vote in 15 seconds to make it a full minute. Chairman, I'm pleased to report that Resolution 2, we have 28 people voting, all 100%, none against.
Wonderful. I declare the resolution carried. Thank you, shareholders. I now ask shareholders to propose and another to second resolution number 3, that a dividend payment of 18 cents per ordinary stock unit paid on September 14, 2022 to ordinary shareholders on record as of August 31st, 2022 be and is hereby approved. Shareholders should state their names clearly and indicate that they propose or second the resolution.
Chairman, I see that Philip Burgess has proposed, and we await a second.
Thank you, Philip.
Shareholders, we have Philip Burgess proposing and Ryan Gentles seconding.
Thank you very much, shareholders. I now put resolution number 3 to the meeting for adoption. Those in favor and those against. Again, I have to state the proxies held are 100% in favor of resolution number 3.
Shareholders, we have 15 seconds for the vote to be open. Chairman, I'm pleased to let you know that we have 28 people voting for Resolution 3, all 100% in favor, none against.
Thank you, shareholders. I declare the resolution carried. Pursuant to Article number 102 of the Company's Articles of Incorporation, the retiring directors eligible for re-election are Kerry Todd, Jermaine Deans, and myself, Stephen Todd. I now ask shareholders to propose and another to second Resolution 4A, that retiring Director Kerry Todd be and is hereby re-elected as Director of the company. Shareholders should state their names clearly and indicate that they propose or second the resolution.
Chairman, we have Philip Burgess proposing. If a shareholder could second at your convenience. And we have Ryan Gentles seconding.
Thank you very much, shareholders. I now put resolution 4A to the meeting for adoption. Those in favor and those against. Again, I have to state proxies held are 100% in favor of resolution 4A. At the bottom of the screen. See what I see?
Shareholders, there is 15 seconds on the clock for this vote. Chairman, I'm pleased to let you know that resolution 4A, we have 25 people voting, 100% people for, 0 against.
Thank you very much, shareholders. I now declare the resolution carried. I now ask a shareholder to propose and not to second resolution 4B, that retiring director Jermaine Deans be and is hereby re-elected as director of the company. Shareholders should state their name clearly and indicate that they propose or second the resolution.
Chairman, we have Ryan Gentles proposing, Philip Burgess seconding.
Thank you, shareholders. I now put resolution 4B to the meeting for adoption. Those in favor and those against. I have to state at this time that 100% of the votes received are in favor of resolution 4B. Of the proxy, sorry.
Shareholders, we have 15 seconds for the final vote. Chairman, I'm pleased to let you know that resolution B, we have 23 voters, 100% for, 0 against.
Thank you very much, shareholders. I declare the resolution carried. I now will ask Alan McDaniel to assume the chair and preside over the chairman's re-election. Mr. Alan McDaniel.
Thank you, Chair. This should be an easy one after such a wonderful day today. All right. I now ask a shareholder to propose and another to second the resolution 4C that retiring director Stephen Todd be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Shareholders, please state your name clearly and indicate that they propose or second the resolution.
In the chat, we have Jason Williams proposing, and by vote on screen, Philip Burgess seconding.
Thank you. And now put resolution 4C to the meeting for adoption. Those in favor and those against. 100% of the proxies collected today are in favor of Resolution 4C?
Shareholders, we have 15 seconds to close the vote. Chairman McDaniel, I'm pleased to let you know that Resolution C has 24 votes, 100% for, 0 against.
Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. Stephen, you're back to your position.
Thank you, shareholders. Let me just catch up where I am. Give me a minute. Right. I now ask a shareholder to propose and another to second first of resolution number 5A, that in order to facilitate the proposed subdivision of existing ordinary shares in the capital of the company, the authorized share capital of the company be increased from 500 million to 500 billion. Be and is hereby approved. Shareholders should state their names clearly and indicate that they propose or second the resolution.
Chairman, we have Philip Burgess proposing, Gordon Allen seconding. Thank you both.
Thank you. I now put resolution number 5A to the meeting for adoption. Those in favor and those against. At this time, I have to tell you 100% of the proxies that we have are in favor of resolution 5A.
Shareholders, there is 15 seconds left to vote. Chairman, I'm happy to report that Resolution 5A has 28 voters, 100% for, 0 against.
Thank you, shareholders. I declare the resolution carried. I now ask a shareholder to propose and another to second resolution 5B, that each of the issued ordinary shares in the capital of the company be subdivided into 9 ordinary shares, resulting in the total issued shares in the capital of the company being increased from 250 million 120,500 to 2,251,084,500. Be and is hereby approved. The record date for the stock split is August 2nd, 2023.
Chairman, on screen, I have Jason Williams proposing and seconded by Philip Burgess.
Thank you very much, shareholders. I now put Resolution 5B to the meeting for adoption. Those in favor and those against. Again, at this time, I have to state 100% of the proxies are in favor of Resolution 5B.
Shareholders, there is 15 seconds remaining in this vote. Chairman, I'm pleased to let you know that Resolution 5B has 27 voters, 100% for, 0 against. If I may use the opportunity to ask shareholders when they are going to propose or second to please use the raise hand symbol in Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you, shareholders. I declare the resolution carried. That concludes the ordinary and special business of the meeting, and I thank you all for attending the 2022 Annual General Meeting of Stationery and Office Supplies Limited. Thank you so much. Have a great day.